Pasadena became a reluctant celebrity. She disapproved of
20 years later, the quiet world of discovery that Schultes enjoyed in the Amazon had exploded with the global embrace and celebration of psychedelics.
My sense is that there are really no good or bad drugs, that all drugs have the potential for constructive use and destructive use. And a challenge for human beings is when you find these powerful substances in nature, you have to find ways of using them to contain their destructive potential.
By the 1967 Summer of Love, globe-trotting botanist Richard Evans Schultes was a tenured professor at Harvard. Students discovered his obscure papers on hallucinogen olowiki and set off a rush on morning glory seeds. They lined up outside his office for a glimpse of the psychedelic pioneer.
Marijuana is the most variable.
The psychedelic era was the unwanted child of Schultes. You know, he never thought of himself as an advocate of recreational drug use. In fact, he was always publicly against it. He was one of that cadre, one of that generation of scholars and seekers whose interpretation of the use of these magic plants was unfiltered by this kind of the miasma of the 60s. You know, these were these remarkable individuals.
A huge dose of thiamine, vitamin B12, and Schultes was a very long way from the pharmacy. And emerging about bad LSD trips, people jumping off rooftops thinking they could fly. By 1967, LSD was illegal, and Timothy Leary was soon to be a fugitive.
Well, one shouldn't underestimate the potential dangers of these kind of drugs, particularly if one is not prepared to take them, if it's not being supervised properly. But on the other hand, I think there was also a journalistic exaggeration of the dangers of these drugs. There were things that were said about them that are blatantly untrue, such as that LSD causes chromosome damage. The Army documents state very clearly LSD causes less chromosome damage than caffeine. That's a direct quote from these documents.